You know, in English, we use the word why for pretty much everything. But in French? French is a little different. Answering why forces you to make a really important choice. Get it right, and you suddenly sound so much more fluent. Get it wrong, and well, you might just mix up your purpose with your reason. So let's break down this super logical and kinda elegant system.
So, first things first, let me ask you a question. Why are you learning French? Seriously, think about it for a second. Is it for travel, to connect with your family, maybe to land a new job? Whatever it is, just hold that thought.
Okay, you got your answer? I'm willing to bet whatever you just thought of falls into one of two buckets. It's either a goal, something you're aiming to achieve in the future, or it's a reason, the cause, the motivation behind what you're doing right now.
And here's why this is such a game changer. In French, this distinction isn't some minor nice-to-know detail. No way. It's a fundamental part of the grammar. Mastering this one single concept is the key to expressing what you want and why you want it with total clarity, just like a native speaker would.
All right, let's tackle the first piece of this puzzle, expressing your goal. Or you could call it your purpose. This is all about talking about that future you're working towards.
Your number one most common tool for this is going to be pour, followed by a verb in its basic form, the infinitive. For instance, je travaille pour gagner de l'argent. I work to earn money. The rule here is super simple. If the person doing the action is the same person with the goal, pour is your best friend.
Now, pour is perfect for everyday chat, but what if you want to sound a little more formal? Well, you've got another option, afin de. The structure is exactly the same. You could say, je travaille afin de gagner de l'argent. It's basically the difference between saying to and in order to in English. Same meaning, just a more elevated tone. It's especially handy in writing.
Okay, so that's all pretty straightforward when you're doing the work for your own benefit. But what happens when the subject changes? What if you're doing something so that someone else gets the benefit?
And this is where French grammar gets really elegant. When the person doing the action is different from the person with the goal, you need a new connector, afin que. For instance, I work so that my family is happy. But look closely at that sentence. The French verb that comes after afin que needs a special form, and this is the secret to the whole structure.
That special form is called the subjunctive mood. And please, don't let the name scare you. It sounds way more complicated than it is. It's simply a verb form that French uses for things that aren't concrete facts. We're talking desires, possibilities, or goals. It's the mood for things you want to happen, not things that are happening.
For example, here's the subjunctive for the verb être, to be. In our sentence, afin que ma famille soit heureuse, that little word soit is the subjunctive. Now, you don't need to memorize this whole chart right now. The big takeaway is just this. Afin que is the trigger. The second you use it, your brain should go ding, 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 subjunctive chime.
Okay, so we've totally nailed the forward-looking why, the purpose. Now let's switch gears and look at the backward-looking why, the cause. This is how you explain the reason for something that's happening.
And just like we saw with purpose, you've got options for explaining the reason. But here's the catch. These are not simple synonyms you can just swap out whenever you feel like it. French gives you 3 distinct tools for because, and each one has its own specific job to do.
All right, let's break them down. First up, parce. This is your all-purpose, go-to workhorse. It directly answers the question, why? Then you've got car, which is its more formal cousin, something you'll see more in writing. Just remember the one big rule. You can't start a sentence with car. And finally, there's puisque. This one's special. You use it for a reason that's already obvious to everyone. Think of it like saying since or seeing as.
Let's see this in action. If someone asks you, why aren't you going out? This is your classic answer. Je ne sors pas parce qu'il pleut. I'm not going out because it's raining. You're just giving them new information, a direct cause for your action. Simple.
But now, watch what happens when we use puisque. Puisqu'il pleut, je ne sors pas. Since it's raining, I'm not going out. The whole vibe here is completely different. By starting with puisque, you're basically saying, hey, we both know it's raining, it's an obvious fact, therefore I'm not going out. It changes the whole dynamic of the sentence. Pretty cool, huh?
So, there we have it. We've decoded the 2 sides of why. We've looked at goals and we've looked at reasons. And now you've got a complete toolkit to express your motivations with a ton of precision and nuance.
So, let's do a super quick review of your new toolkit. When you're talking about your own goal, you'll use pour, or the more formal afin de. When the goal is for someone else, you need that special key, afin que, plus the subjunctive. And for giving reasons,
Parce is your direct, all-purpose answer. Car is for more formal writing. And puisque is for when the reason is just obvious to everybody.
And that is the beautiful logic behind the French why. It's a great reminder that learning a language isn't just about memorizing words, is it? It's about understanding the intention behind them. You now have the keys to explain your own goals and reasons with confidence. So my question to you is, what's the first thing you're going to explain?